Today, I'm going to be using the box art legendary of Pokemon Black in a solo run, Reshiram. Of all the Pokemon in the Unova region, I think when it's all said and done, Reshiram is going to rank within the top 3 at the very worst. I think it's quite possibly the best Pokemon to solo run the games with, at least the main game. The post game I imagine is going to be a different animal. Now let's see how fast I can complete the game with just Reshiram. Rules are on screen but also in the description. Reshiram doesn't need much of an introduction. It's a legendary Pokemon, so it has a 680 base stat total, and it's also in the slow level up group. Its highest stat is its special attack at 150, and its lowest stat is its speed at a respectable 90, with all other stats at a minimum of 100. Because of this, I'm going to go with a modest nature to further boost that already monstrous special attack stat. It has one ability, Turbo Blaze, which is its own version of Mold Breaker, so sturdy users aren't going to be a problem today. Reshiram's starting learn set is great though. Fire Fang is great for the early game at base 65 power, and also gets Stab thanks to our fire typing, but Reshiram also starts with Dragon Rage, which is going to one-shot opponents up until the second battle against Chirin. Through level up, we get Imprison at 8, Ancient Power at 15, another special move, Flamethrower at 22, which is fantastic and pretty much unfair for my opponents, Dragon Breath at 29, Slash at 36, Extra Sensory at 43, Fusion Flare at 50, which is one of 2 of its signature moves, Dragon Pulse at 54, Imprison again at 64, Crunch at 71, Fire Blast at 78, Outrage at 85, Hyper Voice at 92, and Blue Flare at 100. I'm not going to see the second of Reshiram's signature moves because it's going to beat the game well before level 100, maybe even before level 75 when the post game is all said and done. Through TM, it gets quite a bit. I'm not going to cover everything, and I'll be pointing out TMs as we grab them, but there isn't going to be much Reshiram needs, especially once I hit level 22. I expect Flamethrower to carry majority of the load once Dragon Rage falls off. In this early game though, I'm going to be going minimum battles until I grab the monkey from the Dream Yard. And I could have even skipped grabbing Panpour, because I can get a Tortuga later and could always catch a Patrat for cut if needed. There isn't a lot to cover in the early game or against the first few mandatory battles. Dragon Rage one-shots N's Purloin, Youngster Jimmy's Patrat, Bianca's entire team, Charon's entire team, and Chili at the Striaton City Gym doesn't stand a chance against our legendary dragon. The second battle against Chirin is when Dragon Rage no longer one-shots his Pokemon. Against the twins prior to him, I just used Fire Fang on their Purloins which one-shot them, and I'm not sure of their HP stat, but I'm sure someone in the comments will let me know. I don't need to worry about filling my party up in Wellspring Cave, because at the end of the game, it will see I already have Reshiram in my party, even after I capture the required one, which is nice. So I only need to capture a flyer today. I grab the glitched candy on Route 3 and enter Nakarine City. Before stopping at the Pokemon Center, after getting Chesto Berries from Chirin, I head to this house. I'm going to tell the girl that I started with Tepig. I always almost say Snivy. I need to get better at this. And she gives me the Charcoal, which will boost the power of Fire Fang and soon Flamethrower. I then deposit my HM users and head to the gym. Of course, I have to battle N before entering. As you can see, he's not a challenge. His Timber is the only Pokemon of his I can't one-shot. Against Schoolboy Carter in the gym, after I defeat his Patrat, Reshiram levels up to 15 and learns Ancient Power, another special move that provides additional coverage. The rest of Lenora's gym trainers are really easy, and I'm feeling super confident that Reshiram is going to first try Unova's toughest gym leader. Herdier is her lead, and Intimidate lowers my attack one stage, but I don't care, because I'm just going to use Dragon Rage in this battle. I do get hit with Takedown that does about a third, and Lenora burns her Super Potion since Dragon Rage is going to two-shot. I forgot to put a Chesto Berry on prior to the battle, which would have ended it quicker. Watchog puts me to sleep, and because of this, the battle is close, but Reshiram wakes up in time to claim victory. I should just be beelining it through Pinwheel Forest, but muscle memory took over a bit minute here and I battled this ranger for extra chesto berries. I'm going to be skipping rest, so this is just a waste of time, but let's go ahead and pick things up in Castelia City. The little bit of plasma stuff doesn't slow down Reshiram, and neither does the bug gym. What are a bunch of weak bugs going to do to a legendary dragon? No intro for Berg this week due to this. I went for Ancient Power on his lead Whirlipede to see if I could get an Omni boost. I don't. It's okay though. I two-shot Dwebble with Dragon Rage as it hits me with Smackdown, and after knocking it out, Reshiram levels up to 22 and can learn Flamethrower. I should have deleted Imprison for this, but deleted Fire Fang so I wouldn't have to move my cursor. Leavanny is last, and it's burnt to a crisp with Flamethrower. Bianca and Charon don't provide any type of challenge. Surprise, surprise. So let's jump ahead to Nimbasa City. I didn't bother purchasing any Paralyze Heals from the Pokemon Center or the TM for return since all of my moves don't make contact, and I won't have to worry about static in Elisa's gym. Return at the moment would only have a base power of 55 if I were to use it, and Reshiram is going to get much better options that will take advantage of its special attack stat. While playing Dress Up with Bianca, I give Reshiram this Grass Skirt and Maraca. I think it could have used the glasses as well though. The battle against N before I can enter Elisa's gym is easy. Flamethrower and Charcoal go burr, and I expect Elisa to be the same. I'm not even going to save before battling her. I'm slower than Elisa's first Emolga. It hits me with a weak pursuit as Flamethrower one-shots. Reshiram levels up and is now faster than the second Emolga, but slower than her Asip Strika. But it doesn't matter, because Flamethrower one-shots both. No challenge from Elisa. The battle against Charon as I head to Driftville is the closest battle I've had since Lenora. Against Pignite, I go for Ancient Power for neutral damage and to try to get an Omni boost. I don't get one. Pignite heals with its Citrus Berry before going for Rollout, which is super effective against my dragon and will increase in power each turn. My next Ancient Power brings it to low red health as its next Rollout brings me under half. I can knock it out the next turn and finish his final Pokemon Tranquil with Flamethrower, but that's the lowest Reshiram's HP has gotten since the second gym. Upon entering Driftville, I beeline it straight for the cold storage, no stopping by the mart for the expert belt. I do grab the hidden PP up in the trash as part of muscle memory, but having extra PP and something like Fusion Flare later on might be nice. After driving Team Plasma out of town, I head to Clay's gym. While the ground types technically have a type advantage against me, they can't lay a hand on Reshiram between Dragon Breath and Flamethrower. No intro for Clay this week. Flamethrower easily one-shots his lead Krokorok and his ace Excadrill. The only Pokemon I don't one-shot is Palpitoad. Since it resists Flamethrower, I switch to Dragon Breath, which leaves it on low health. After it hits me with a Bulldoze, Clay tries to delay the inevitable using Hyper Potions on it, but I eventually earn the 5th gym badge. The battle against Bianca as I leave town is close, but you could chalk it up to me not healing prior to this battle. Her lead is Herdier, and although it lowers my attack with Intimidate, I have all special moves, and Flamethrower one-shots it. Dewott is next, and I should have stuck with Flamethrower. I switch to Dragon Breath, which leaves it on low health and causes paralysis. It gets through paralysis though and hits me with Razor Shell, bringing me under half, but the hail at the end of the turn takes it out. Musharna follows, and this thing is going to get a run before the end of the year, I promise. Flamethrower leaves it on low red health and it hits me with Psybeam, and things are starting to look close as hail chips me down further. She heals up her Psychic type with a Hyper Potion, and my next Flamethrower gets a better roll, one-shotting. Last is Pansear, and even though it resists Flamethrower, it has enough power to one-shot the Elemental Monkey. Chargestone Cave is next, and the Plasma Grunts cause no problems. I have plenty of PP between Flamethrower and Dragon Breath. I still have Dragon Rage on my set, which is dead weight to this point, and it really should be Fire Fang. I still slightly regret teaching Flamethrower over it, because at least Fire Fang would still have some use at this point in the run. I will be replacing Dragon Rage with Slash once Reshiram reaches level 36, but that probably won't be until Skyla's gym. I'm not going to be grabbing the rare candy or the bright powder while here. Skipping both and heading straight to N. Thanks to my ability Turbo Blaze, I don't have to waste time against Bulldor, one-shotting it with Dragon Breath and bypassing its sturdy ability. Flamethrower has super effective damage and one-shots against the rest of his Pokemon, and and I end up hitting level 36 during the battle and can finally ditch Dragon Rage for Slash. Now, let's move on. After withdrawing a fly user from the Mistralton City Pokemon Center, I make my way to Route 7 in the Celestial Tower. The TMs for Will-O-Wisp and Shadowclaw are here in case I want to give Reshiram a status move or have additional coverage, but I don't need either, and I'm going to get access to more special moves in a bit. I only taught Slash because it's an upgrade over Dragon Rage. I also love that you can rotate the trainers by pressing B here. I wish this worked on the first floor also. Of course, at the top of the tower, I meet Skyla, ring the bell, and send her back to her gym. Now we can face off against the flying type specialist. Swoobat, one shot by Flamethrower. Unpheasant, one shot by Flamethrower. Swanna, I switch to Ancient Power, which doesn't one shot. Her ace hits me with Aerial Ace before she heals it with a Hyper Potion. My next Ancient Power can't one shot, but I get an Omni Boost. And after another Hyper Potion, I'm able to finish off her ace, earning the 6th gym badge. The battle with Charon outside of Twist Mountain is when his difficulty begins to ramp up, but for Reshiram, Charon still can't hold a candle to it. I one-shot his lead Unpheasant with Flamethrower before moving on to Pignite. Like in the last battle, I go for Ancient Power for neutral damage. Instead of Rollout, Pignite chooses Takedown, missing, and even though it's holding the leftovers, I can two-shot it. His final two Pokemon are Liepard and Simisage, and after taking a Fake Out from the Dark type, Flamethrower makes quick work of them. In Twist Mountain, I'm only going to be grabbing the exclusive Winter Candy, skipping Substitute. I don't need it for this run. I also grabbed the exclusive Winter Candy in Icera City and Crush Bryson. Charcoal and Flamethrower go burr. Next is Dragon Spiral Tower. I don't need a bit for this one. You guys know what I'm going to call Reshiram, Blue Eyes White Dragon. I guess this makes me Seto Kaiba today, with N being Joey Wheeler. I could have picked up the Dragon Fang while here, which would boost the power of Dragon type moves by 20%, but I'm rarely going to swap the Charcoal for something else, if at all. After I finish up business here, I head to the Desert Resort and head to Relic Castle. First, I'm going to pick up the rare candy though. Reshiram doesn't need many of these. Next, I want to point something out in Relic Castle, and I'm going to freeze frame it here before I fall down this hole. This item right here is the TM for Shadow Ball. This is something I should have grabbed right now. An additional special move for coverage, with a chance to drop special defense. Just keep this in the back of your mind for now. Anyway, after I wrap up business here and get the Lightstone from Lenora, I have to face Bianca before I can enter Opalucid City. Her team is now fully evolved, but Reshiram doesn't care. Flamethrower one-shots her lead Stoutland, Dragon Breath is enough to one-shot Samurott, I switch back to Flamethrower for Musharna, and while Dragon Breath doesn't one-shot Simisear, after a full restore, I get a better roll to defeat Bianca for the final time. The Dragon Gym is no problem for my Dragon type. None of the Drudigans cause problems today. I didn't grab the Macho Brace earlier in the run, so I don't get double the attack EVs, and why would I want them with Reshiram? I show Drayden that I am the superior Dragon type trainer and earn the final gym badge. The final battle against Charon, like Bianca, causes no problems. The only noteworthy thing in this battle is that after I knock out Embor, Reshiram reaches level 50 and learns the first of its two signature moves, Fusion Flare. I teach it in the place of Extra Sensory. In Victory Road, I'm going to be skipping the Dragon Claw TM that's near the end, but I will be grabbing the Surf Rare Candy. This brings the total I've picked up in my playthrough to 5 for now, and after scaling Victory Road, Reshiram is level 51. Now let's take on the League. I decided to start things off with Caitlyn, and remember when I said to keep in the back of your mind when I skipped Shadow Ball? It could have probably helped out a bit in this battle, and against Chantal, but we'll wait to talk about her. I can't one-shot her lead Reuniqueless with Flamethrower, and its Psychic does over a quarter. Knowing a full restore is coming, I go for Ancient Power to see if I can get an Omni boost. I don't. I finish it with a Flamethrower and switch to Fusion Flare for the following Sigilif and Musharna. I one-shot the Psychic Bird, but Musharna is bulky, and I only do 2/3 to it. It retaliates with Psychic, bringing me under half. I finish it off and move on to her ace Gothitelle. I swap to Flamethrower to conserve PP, hoping I wouldn't have to use a PP restoring item before the league is over. But Flamethrower leaves it on low yellow health, and its Psychic brings Reshiram to low red health. Thankfully I'm faster and can finish it for the win, but this battle was close. I decided to take on Marshall next, and I have to say, not having to worry about Sawk and its annoying sturdy ability in both round 1 and 2 is lovely. I burned through my final 2 PP of Fusion Flare in this battle. I've accepted that I'm going to use an Ether. Between Fusion Flare and Flamethrower, both of which get stab and are also boosted by the held charcoal, I just one-shot his entire team. Chantal is next, and boy, I would have loved to have Shadow Ball here. Against her lead Cophagrigus, I went for Flamethrower because I didn't use an Ether on Fusion Flare prior to the battle. I don't one-shot, and it's able to hit me with its own Shadow Ball, before Chantal burns through all of her full restores and I take it out. Golurk is next, and Flamethrower roasts the Ghostly Golem. Jellicent follows, and I don't have anything good for this Pokemon. I would have loved Shadow Ball specifically for this. Or it would have been nice if I leveled up after Golurk instead of leveling up after this thing. I go for Dragon Breath, since there is the upside of paralysis and it will deal neutral damage. It does about 1/3 and Cursed Body activates, disabling it. I have to slowly knock this thing out with Ancient Power as it brings me to red health with a combination of Surf and Brine. After I knock it out, Reshiram levels up to 54 and can learn Dragon Pulse. This would have been nice to have to deal with Jellicent over Dragon Breath or Ancient Power. I teach my new move in the place of Dragon Breath and move on to her ace Chandelure. I had hopes that Ancient Power would be enough to one-shot the frail ghost type, but it doesn't, and its payback is able to knock Reshiram out for the first reset of the run. I make it back to Chandelure in the next battle after another slugfest with Jellicent, but I have a lot more HP this time around since I didn't take any damage from her first 2 Pokemon. While Dragon Pulse can't one-shot, its payback doesn't deal nearly enough to me, and I take the win. Grimsley is last, his lead is Scrafty, and this thing unfortunately has Sand Attack, which it hits me with after Flamethrower fails to knock it out. I should have just went for Fusion Flare, and I'm just going to spoil this now. I end up losing this battle. That one Sand Attack is my undoing. I take a massive Earthquake from Crocodile, which leaves me on low red health. And while I did have a chance to win, I miss Flamethrower on Bisharp, and it finishes me with Aerial Ace. I talked with Shadow Stitch about this run after I finished, and he told me he used candies prior to the league to hit some ranges, along with picking up Shadow Ball prior to the league. I think that's definitely a TM I'm going to backtrack for in round 2. In the rematch with Grimsley, as you see, I don't get hit with Sand Attack, and when that doesn't happen, Fusion Flare and Flamethrower just wreck his team. And with how the league went, I have some high hopes for round 2. After N summons his castle, I can grab one extra rare candy, bringing my total to 6, but I'm only going to use 5 to bring Reshiram to level 60 before the final 2 battles of the run. N is not a problem. I one-shot his legendary dragon with Dragon Pulse. He sends in Caracosta next, but thanks to Turbo Blaze, Sturdy is not an issue, and Dragon Pulse one-shots. And from here, I have one-shots on his remaining Pokemon. Is Getsis going to cause problems? The answer is no, not even close. I'm able to one-shot 3 of his Pokemon, the Cophagrigus, Hydreigon, and Bisharp. Of the other 3, Bouffalant, Seismitoad, and Electros, 2 of the 3 know Earthquake, which could do some massive damage to Reshiram, but Bouffalant elects for Head Charge, which does well over 1/3, while Seismitoad sets up Rain Dance. Maybe it went for this move because it didn't see the KO with Earthquake. Maybe it's because I'm part Fire type, but had it gone for Earthquake, I think this battle could have looked differently, but instead, Reshiram gets a first try victory. Reshiram, as expected, establishes a new personal best. It finishes with a real time of 1 hour 7 minutes and 35 seconds, which if I was playing this on Super Shucky, I could easily get sub-hour. At level 62, with an in-game time of 4 hours and 7 minutes, shattering my old personal best I set with Meloetta. The post-game, I suspect, is going to be a different ballgame though. In my experience with the post-game, slow growth rate Pokemon have mixed results. We have Pokemon like Haxorus and Volcarona, both of which were done on the Desmume emulator and need a more modern playthrough. They both rank in the S tier, Mewtwo is in the A tier, and Meloetta is in the B tier. Then all the way in the bottom tier is Hydreigon. I think Reshiram could rank as high as the S tier and as low as the B tier, but there's only one way to find out. Let's start off the postgame by grabbing some candies I skipped earlier in this run, which is quite a few. Since these next few errands are in the Nimbasa area, let's start with the Anvil Town candy, followed by the Route 16 candy, and then a quick trip to Relic Castle for the Shadow Ball TM I skipped earlier. Now I can make my way towards the east side of the map from Nimbasa. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen Black City, so I just wanted to show it off some. But once I reach Undella Town, I deposit my HM users, and now it's time for some blackout grinding. And we're going to be here for a while, because after I knock out her first Pokemon Spiritomb, she sends in her ace Garchomp, who's faster and easily 100 to zeros me with Earthquake. After another battle where I was able to level up after knocking out Spiritomb, I decided to grab a few more candies since I'm going to have to pop them in order to make it past her ace. I head to the basement of Chargestone Cave to grab that candy, skipping the Bright Powder. I also grabbed the candy on Route 2, but skipped the Pinwheel Forest candy. I don't know why. I think I just forgot about it honestly. I make a pit stop in Driftville for the Expert Belt and Shell Bell, as well as heading to Route 13 to grab the TM for Psychic. After blacking out to level 64, I popped the candies I had on hand to get to level 69. Nice. But I'm still slower than Garchomp. It moves first and defeats me again. Before the next battle, I put on the Expert Belt, with hopes that Dragon Pulse could one-shot it if I can tank an Earthquake. I also roll the dice with Ancient Power on Spiritomb in hopes I can get an Omni Boost. And I do. I fished for another but didn't get it, and thankfully Spiritomb's double teams don't cause me to miss over and over again. With the increase to my speed, Reshiram moves first against Garchomp, and with the boost to my special attack thanks to the Omni Boost and the Expert Belt, Dragon Pulse one-shots it. From here, I can easily win the battle, or try and lose and continue to black out. But I don't think Reshiram needs to black out anymore against her. I might have been a bit overconfident, and I definitely wish I grabbed the Pinwheel Forest candy, because round 2 of the league quickly humbled me. I took 3 blackouts, 1 to Grimsley and 2 to Marshall, both of whom I thought would be no problem for Reshiram. I decided to stick with Marshall and switched my held item back to the charcoal. My hope was that with the boost, I can one-shot Sawk and not take a devastating Stone Edge in retaliation, and I do. Unfortunately, I don't one-shot throw, and it hits me with Earthquake, doing half. Since Marshall is going to burn a full restore, I can knock it out over 2 turns with Flamethrower. I can one-shot the following Toxicroak with Fusion Flare, but not Conkeldurr, who brings me to low red health with Hammer Arm. I take it out the next turn and last is Mienshao. Thankfully Reshiram is faster and Fusion Flare takes care of it. I take on Caitlyn next, and she surprisingly defeats me. I went for Ancient Power fishing for an Omni Boost. I don't get one and it does pathetic damage to Musharna as it puts me to sleep. It only hits me once with Dream Eater before I wake up, but that one Dream Eater did a quarter to Reshiram. I take out her lead and her first Steel type in Metagross before moving on to Reuniqueless. Fusion Flare leaves it on low red health and its Psychic brings me under half. Because of the full restore, I don't take any damage from it and knock it out with 2 Flamethrowers. Against Sigilif, I went fishing for another Omni Boost. I don't get one and its Psychic brings me to low red health. I finish it with Ancient Power, still not getting an Omni Boost, one-shot the following Bronzong with Flamethrower, and make it to Gothitelle. Unfortunately, I'm out of Fusion Flare PP and have to go for Flamethrower. It leaves her ace on a quarter, and its Psychic finishes me. When Musharna misses Hypnosis and I make better move choices, along with getting 2 Omni Boosts on Sigilif, things go much better. I have plenty more HP, but the boost to my special attack gets me over the top. Chantal is next. I forgot to teach Shadow Ball before the battle and she ends it quickly. I honestly should have just reset after I saw Golurt go for Curse right away, but I wanted to see how much damage Dragon Pulse would do to Jellicent, and half is decent. I can work with that. I took 2 more quick resets prior to this battle. I taught Shadow Ball in the place of Ancient Power and forgot to use an Ether, which I forgot to here as well, and her Frostlass also crit me with Blizzard to finish me after a slog of a battle with Jellicent. I've replaced the Charcoal with the Shell Bell prior to this battle. I'm going to need my health to be in good shape for her later Pokemon, starting with Jellicent. I'm able to 2-shot it with a combination of Shadow Ball and Dragon Pulse. I don't activate Curse Body, and the healing from the Shell Bell helps me shrug off a Hydro Pump. With my HP in good shape for Frostlass and its Blizzard not critting me this time, I easily take it out and move on to Drifblim. I do have to 2-shot it, but I don't trigger its Aftermath ability since my attacks don't make direct contact with it. I have to 2-shot her Ace Chandelure as well, and although its Shadow Ball does a lot of damage, I have more than enough HP to tank the hit. Last is Grimsley. I had 1 quick reset to him because Scrafty hit me with a massive head smash and Crocodile was able to finish me with Earthquake after I failed to 1-shot both. I put the Charcoal back on for this battle to see if I could change that, and Fusion Flare does not 1-shot the fighting type, and it deals massive damage with Head Smash, but the recoil takes it out. But my luck takes a turn, as Fusion Flare does get the 1-shot on Crocodile, so I don't take an Earthquake from it. The only Pokemon who deals any damage to me from here on out is Liepard with Sucker Punch, but Flamethrower and Fusion Flare have 1-shots on it, Drapion, and his ace Bisharp. With the league defeated, let's face Alder. Alder's lead is Excelgor. For a lot of Pokemon, this fast special attacking bug is a huge problem, but for Reshiram, it's nothing. It goes for me first, hitting me with Flamethrower and dealing pathetic damage as my own Flamethrower burns the Ninja Bug to ash. Dragon Pulse then 1-shots the following Druddigon, and I felt like Reshiram was in the driver's seat, until Bouffalant came out. Fusion Flare fails to 1-shot, and it deals massive damage with Stone Edge. Alder heals his Buffalo with a full restore as Flamethrower 2-shots it. I have super effective or neutral damage against his final 3 Pokemon. The 4x weak Escavalier melts to Flamethrower and he sends in his ace Volcarona. Fusion Flare leaves it on a quarter as his bug sets up Quiver Dance. With the boost to its speed and special attack, it outspeeds and unleashes a Hyper Beam that finishes me. I tried replacing the Charcoal with the Shell Bell to see if the passive healing could give me an edge, but without the Charcoal, Fusion Flare's damage takes quite a hit. I only do half to Volcarona, and after it sets up with Quiver Dance, my next Fusion Flare leaves it on a Sliver. Alder heals his bug as it continues to set up with Quiver Dance, lessening the damage from my special moves while increasing the damage of its own, and finishes me again with Hyper Beam. After the exact scenario played out again, I figured I would need some luck, starting with Bouffalant. If I can burn it, I can lessen the damage from its Stone Edge, which happens here, and my HP is in a much better state for Volcarona. After it sets up once with Quiver Dance, it goes for Hyper Beam, which I tank well. Alder does not heal up his ace, and I finally knock out the annoying Firebug. The only Pokemon left is Vanillix, and this Ice Cream Cone doesn't stand a chance against my legendary Dragon. Reshiram finishes the postgame with a real time of 27 minutes and 56 seconds at level 77, with a cumulative game time of 5 hours and 23 minutes. The real time of this run was barely over an hour and a half when you combine the main and post game, and Reshiram's cumulative game time is better than some Pokemon's game time after completing the main game, like Haxorus, Escavalier, and the starters to name a few, but those were also done on a much worse emulator, and when I come back to those, because I really need to, they're all going to rank up, and I'll probably have to rebalance the tier list at that point. When it comes to ranking Reshiram on my post-game tier list though, it finds itself in the A tier with Mewtwo from its additional game time of 1 hour and 16 minutes. I'm sure I'll revisit Reshiram in the future, and when I do, I expect a sub-hour real time and sub-4 hours game time from this thing. And for the last run for the month of August, we're going to play another fire type. I had my wife pick between Victini and Darmanitan and told her to Google them afterwards. She chose Darmanitan originally, then Googled both Pokemon, and stuck with her choice. So tune in next week when we see this fire type Unga Bunga its way through Unova. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. Special shout out to my channel members, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care, everybody.